Was released in January and the single is out at the end of this month. Now, my final guest is a man of many talents. He has a PhD in astrophysics and is ranked among Rolling Stone magazine's greatest guitarists of all time. Not long ago, Guinness World Records announced that his band, Queen, had overtaken the Beatles to become the most successful music act in UK album chart history. Let's remind ourselves of some of his finest moments.
She's a killer queen, gunpowder eternity, dynamite with a laser beam, galaxy to blow your mind. Release me, Lolo, I know, get right to it and ready, Mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub has a devil put aside for me. For me, for me.
Even the Muppets can't match that. Please welcome Brian May. Well, the new CD out, absolute greatest hits of Queen, which presumably
exciting, wasn't it?
It was. Well, it's still exciting, actually, isn't it?
It is. We're very lucky. I can't believe how many generations we've spanned. Incredible.
300 million albums is just the most ferocious amount. You can't have had the faintest inkling that you'd still be talking about it almost 40 years on. It's 40 years next year, isn't it?
That's right. When you start off, you have big dreams. You know, we were precocious boys and we thought we could change the world, you know, but really, realistically, the chances were pretty small. So, yeah, I wake up every morning and think, my God, because it's incredible what happened.
Do you enjoy it more, in a way, the success now, almost, than you did then, because it's still continuing?
Yeah, I suppose so. We have more of a chance to take it at our own pace now, I suppose. Yeah, and you know, we don't do that much touring. We used to tour 9 months of the year, then record an album, tour another 9 months. It was just like a continual conveyor belt. So now I get more of a chance to have a life, in a sense, and I can do different stuff. And,
well, you went back to your original life because you finally completed your PhD thesis.
I did.
You're now Dr. Brian May.
Yeah.
With a fascinating-sounding thesis, Brian. Do remind us what it is.
The title is the Motions of Interplanetary Dust. That's the short version of the title. It was actually a study of the radial velocities of dust particles in the zodiacal the dust cloud, which surrounds the whole the solar system.
Yes, well, let's have half an hour talking about this.
We could talk about it.
Well, great for you that you could actually go back to your passion, having had the successful music career.
Yeah, I mean, I now have an overview of my life, in a sense. You know, there were all these strands that I was passionate about, and I couldn't follow them all, so you have to just make a decision. And I decided that if I didn't play guitar and do this thing with Freddie and Roger and John, you know, it was never going to happen. So it was like, OK, you plunge in, but you have to leave so much behind. And so 30 years later, it was great to be able to return and do that, pick up those threads. It's all Patrick Moore's fault, actually. He said, you have to do it, Brian. You have to write your thesis.
Wonderful to be encouraged by Patrick. Good for you.
Well,
there's another thing that's taken you 25 years to do, and that is this. Book
this is
called
the other passion.
A Village Lost and Found. Now, I remember those things you got in Weetabix packets.
Exactly.
Do you remember them? They used to look like this. You got two pictures, and you got this. A viewer. Do you remember? There was a little red one, I remember. And you looked through and they sort of became 3D pictures.
That's exactly where I started.
So, tell us about this particular book, Brian, that you put together.
Well, this is a lost English work of art, really. It's the work of a photographer called T.R. Williams, a stereo photographer of the 1850s. So you're talking about 150 years ago or so. And it's an exceptional work of art, in my view, and almost lost forever, because it was in 59 parts, 59 stereo cards which slot into that viewer. And nobody in living memory had seen the whole series. In fact, a very, very small number of people had ever seen any of them when I started collecting, and I got very, very intrigued by
Where do you
these
find them? In
things.
junk shops? Or?
Yeah, I used to find them all over the place, in junk shops and you know, car boot sales and things, and there are certain dealers who deal in photographic material. You know, I picked some of these up for a couple of quid. These days, now, people know what they are, largely thanks to me, probably, so I've kicked I've shot myself in the foot, really. But so they are worth quite a bit of money now.
But what's the fascination in this particular? I mean, they're lovely, but what particularly nailed you onto these?
There was a great deal of mystery about them to me. They are scenes of an English village, and nobody knew where the village was, or even if it was a village, perhaps it was just some sort of generic rural scene kind of vibe. And I was always convinced there was a lot beneath the surface. And as I collected more and more of the cards, I realised that the people cropped up. These were real people, they were real places, and there was a real story being told. So on the back of each card is a poem written by the photographer himself, we reckon. And the poem really enlightens you as to what's going through the photographer's head. And it's very deep, it's very philosophical. He's talking about rural life and how it's disappearing at that time.
And
he's
that was
also
then, that's 150 years
in
ago.
the face of the Industrial Revolution,
Yeah.
150 years ago, yeah. And he's talking about the people and their dreams and their relationship to animals and to the earth and to their God. And it's a very profound work. So all I've done is channel it for the 21st century.
But did you find out where the place is?
I did. And it took me a long time. The way I was driving around for ages looking for number one, which was the church. I was thinking, they don't knock down churches. I've got to find this thing somewhere. And then the internet age dawned, and I thought, well, if I put this onto the internet, somebody somewhere lives near this church. Somebody must know where it is. So I put a picture of number one, the church, up on the internet on my website, brianmay.com. Thank you. And within 36 hours, I had 6 replies, all correct, telling me where this church was. In Hinton Waldrist, a tiny little village in Oxfordshire. Now, I was very lucky. It could have been Reading, and I could have gone down there and found a car park, but actually it's very much still a beautiful village. And me and my co-researcher, Elena Vidal, who you see on the cover here, went down there, and we got to know the villagers pretty well, and we became part of their life in a sense, the same as T.R. Williams perhaps did with the book.
What a wonderful story.
But this is, there was no viewer. I was looking, you know, in the old days, in Victorian times, you'd have had a beautiful wooden stereoscope,
Yes.
and you put the cards in. Of course, you can't get those now, and you can't get them made. So I had to design, I invented this viewer. This is called an owl, and its big trick is it folds down flat into the book like this, which was unusually
It slides in. There's a slip
It's
case
like
with it, yeah.
in the slipcase. And the other big trick is that it focuses, so it suits just about anybody's eyesight, because that's the hard thing with 3D. People pick it up and go, oh, I don't get it,
Yeah.
and then you've lost, you know. So this thing focuses, and it deals with just about anybody's eyesight. So people go, whoa, I get it. I can walk in, I can touch these people. And that's the moment that I treasure.
Wonderful story and a good Christmas present. A man
It's
of
a
many
good toy.
parts, a star who's interested in stars and lovely bits of old England. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian May.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. That's it for today. Tomorrow, she's gone from Benidorm to the West End. Comedy actress Sheridan Smith's here. One of the country's funniest women, Miranda Hart, joins me. Pop sensation Pixie Lott performs a new single, and I'll be diagnosing your horticultural hang-ups down in the AT Garden. We'll see you tomorrow at 3. Bye-bye for now.